Alright guys, I've been doing this whole InDesign thing for a long time now, and I really wish I knew about these 5 things before I started. It would have saved me so much time. So, let's get straight into it. Number 1 is going to be importing things like Photoshop and Illustrator straight into InDesign rather than exporting them. I used to do something like export the images out of Photoshop first and then dragging the JPEG into InDesign. But what I've learned over the years is that when you have a Photoshop file or Illustrator file, you can actually just drag it straight into InDesign, and I'm gonna show you what I mean. So I really want to get the image from my Photoshop into this design file. Now you guys can see that I have found the folder that contains my Photoshop file, and what I'm gonna do is just drag the Photoshop into InDesign. Now you might be asking, Sam, what is the point of that? Like, what is different between this and the other one? And I'll show you that right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and just move this to the back of all my different elements. Now, let's say I want to just cut out the subject, which is this man holding the umbrella. I've done that in my Photoshop file, and I can actually turn on the layers and turn off the layers in my InDesign. So if I click on the image itself, right click, and then go into Object Layer Options, you can see that I have a person as well as a background layer. Now if I turn off the background layer, you can see that I'm able to manipulate that straight in InDesign. So you can do some really cool things with this. For example, if I go ahead and copy another one in here, and then I have one of them showing the background. So for example, I go ahead and open this, turn on the background, and then let's say I want to do some sort of clipping. So I'm going to create a ellipse tool and then just cut this. So right click, cut. And then we're going to paste into this ellipse. So paste into. You can see that it's going to count my clipping. I'm going to preview this. And then it's going to come in at the same spot. So now I have a great clipping that I can use in addition to the subject. So it's popping out of the frame. And that's really great if you want to do any sort of editorial that utilizes that technique. And in addition, I want to give you guys another one. If you actually hold Alt and double click into the file, it'll actually open whatever file it's linking into, and you can edit straight into it. And as always, if you do any save on your design link file, it'll update automatically in your actual InDesign file. So it's just a way better way of doing your files if you're trying to edit any of the photos or any of the vector files in Illustrator. So give that a try, let me know how it goes, and yeah, we'd love to see what you guys create. Now, next thing is something that we all should be doing, but you know, it might not always get to us, and that is paragraph styles. Now, paragraph style is basically a way where you can make set styles in your text, and you can basically apply this to anything that you click onto. For example, I have many different defined paragraph styles here, and if I want to change this text box into something else, like a title or a body or a bullet, or anything that I've already preset, you can see how easy it's going to be to just select something and then change that into something that conforms to the rest of your document. So super useful if you want to do a multi-page document. In order to set something like this up, it's super easy. Let's say that I have made a new text or a text box, and I'm just gonna give it some placeholder text. Now, if I want to add this as one of my paragraph styles, I can go into my paragraph styles table, which is in Window, go down to Styles, and check on Paragraph Styles. Then all we have to do is click this on the very bottom called Create New Style, and you can see that Paragraph Style 2 will pop up. If you double click into this, you can see all of the different options. And if I change anything in here, you can see that it'll preview. So for example, if I want to go ahead and change the indent, and I want to change the left indent so that there is a little bit of an indent on the left always in this paragraph style, I can do that. So there's tons of options in here where you can change a lot of different things. So feel free to explore that. But this is just something that is very good to set up in the beginning of your documentation so that you can just point, click, and everything will look super neat. So all of these tips that I covered today are through years of trial and error. If I were to learn something new, like I've been wanting to get into more of the Adobe Premiere Pro advanced editing stuff, I would learn through Skillshare, which is today's sponsor. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of classes led by industry experts across film, illustration, design, freelance, productivity, and more. And it can help you take your career, skills, hobbies, passion, or side hustles to the next level. So going on to Skillshare, they have many different classes on things like Adobe InDesign, Premiere, Illustrator, and Photoshop. Skillshare has made my learning experience with Adobe Premiere Pro so much easier because they have classes taught by pros that walk you through everything from basic editing to more advanced techniques like color grading and multi-camera setup. We were able to work out a deal with Skillshare to give 1 month free to the first 500 people that click on the link down in my description. And with the holidays coming up and some downtime, what better way is there to get ahead of the competition? So if you want to get that 1 month free trial, make sure you check out the link in the description and start learning today. Okay, the next one is going to be text frame options. And this is one of the commands that I wish everybody knew. And I wish I knew it from the very beginning because it would have made a lot better design throughout my career. So go ahead and select any of the text boxes that you have on the page, right click and go into text frame options. Now, there are just a ton of options here, but some of the ones that I like to use a lot are things like the different column numbers. So here you can see it defaults to 1. I can change it to 2. I can change the gutters between the 2 different columns. I can even change the spacing. So if you want a little bit of a buffer around the outside, you can see that it's going to change something like that. You can also change justification in the middle. So for example, if I drag this guy all the way out, and let's say I delete half of the text in here, you can see that right now it's justified towards the top of my frame. Now, if I go to text frame options and change this to center, you can see that it's going to align it to the center of the text frame. So again, you guys can see how amazingly useful this is going to be when you're making any document. Now, another thing that is super important in here is the ignore text wrap tool. So you can see that there is a invisible frame around this object that I've used as a text frame offset, right? So it's a text wrap on this man right here. And you can see the text is changing as I change the margins on this option. Now, you can also notice that this text on the left doesn't change when I change the different margins. And that's because I've changed the ignore text wrap and I've checked it on so that no matter what kind of margin I give to my text wrap, it's not going to change. Now, if I turn this off, you can see that half of my text disappears just because it doesn't satisfy the requirements of the text frame that it's trying to go over. Now, I can make a whole video just on text frame options, but I'm just giving you guys a quick rundown on some of the most used functions in the general tab. And I hope this is super useful for you guys because it has been ever since I discovered it. Alright guys, so the next thing is going to be Preflight. And what Preflight is it allows your document to check for things before you publish anything or send it to your client. So it's very important that you guys run your Preflight, especially when you're doing a big deadline and it's an official submission to somebody else. In order to do something like that, all you have to do is go to Window, go into Output, and then just click on Preflight. And what that'll do is it'll tell you what kind of things are missing, what kind of things are wrong. And for example, it's telling me I have 3 missing links here. So my images aren't actually linked to a file. They're just kind of without in file. And so what will happen is when you export it, it's going to be super low resolution. And you definitely don't want that. There's also going to be things like text offset. So if I want to see where this is, you can see that, okay, I have text that is going out of the box. So not all the text is showing. And Preflight is the thing that'll tell me all about that. So make sure you guys run a Preflight, fix any of the errors that you see in Preflight to make sure that you have a great working document that you can send out to whoever you need to be sending it out to. Whoa, okay, excuse the light transition, but number 5 is going to be different ways of previewing your actual design file. So as you guys are in the working element of your InDesign document, it's going to make the fidelity of your photos a lot less. So you can see that the image is fairly pixelized. And there's kind of 2 ways to approach looking at a document where you're previewing what it looks like at its highest quality. You can go up to View, turn on Overprint Preview, and that'll make your image the original resolution of whatever file it is. So you can see the resolution has been turned up here, as well as this image here. Now, you're also gonna notice some performance decrease just because your GPU is trying to render all these different images. Now, if you just want to do that preview with one single image, you can actually right click and then go into display performance and then use high quality display. Now, to add on to this, I also wanted to go over that we know about W as a preview, but it's also good sometimes to be using something like Shift W, which puts everything into presentation mode. So if you're making a presentation or you would just want it to be bigger screen, you can use Shift W as a shortcut key to blow that up and just see your design in more detail. And that's it. That's all I have for you guys for this week's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Share with your friends if you did like it. Let me know what you learned down in the comments, what you already knew, what you didn't know that might have been helpful. And make sure you guys check out Skillshare's link, and thank you Skillshare for sponsoring this video. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.